So Charleston White has been accused of more deviant behavior. And before I start with the clip, I'm going to tell you why I believe it. I have multiple clips myself of Charleston White making these claims. I don't believe there's any reason to overlook what is being said about him. Now, we've got to deal with the fact that he's obtained a high level of celebrity, which means people aren't as quick to talk about him. But some things got to be said. And his criminal record speaks for itself when it comes to this crime. We're not talking about someone who isn't on the record for having done this. The paperwork is there. The documentation is certainly there, but what isn't there is the desire to stop him from growing. What I see is people are entertained, and that becomes a problem when you're willing to ignore some of the things Charleston White's name has been applied to. Now, one part of that issue is the things that Charleston White has said himself, the things he's admitted to. But some things he has not admitted to, and they're being talked about now. They're being talked about on other YouTube platforms, and I don't think it's getting the attention or airplay that it deserves. So I think it needs to be played here. So in this video, Charleston White is being accused by a family member who was 11 years old at the time. So I want y'all to take a listen to what she has to say as she tells her story. I do think we need to make room for more of these stories so people will feel comfortable telling them. I don't think you got to use the internet and make it the world's business if you don't want to. But people need to be empowered enough to tell their story, even if it's just to a local detective. Tell your story, because these things are happening. They're happening to 11-year-old girls, and there's nothing we can do, especially when they're adults and it's the first time we hearing about it. This is crazy, fam. Let's get into this clip.
How's the weather down there tonight, Mark? How's the weather up there in Fort Worth today?
Oh man, it's all right. It's we had like 3 seasons today in one day: spring, winter, and fall. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You okay? I know you probably don't want to take too much time in this, but we need you to get your story out. We're out here for you.
We got plenty of time, bro.
Yes. I know it's hard. Like around what age were you when this all happened?
About 11 or 12. And we was at my auntie house. Charleston had just came home from TYC. And I was getting out the shower or whatever. And he came in there fondling me. I had watched one of his videos here recently because I had heard about how he was on there making jokes about when we was little, we used to have sex with our cousins. What the fuck? I mean, I'm sorry. Where do they do that at?
Right, where did they do that at?
Paperwork on what happened, but just what I wanted to reveal because I didn't feel like anything was appropriate at the time. We got district clerk office paperwork here now. So
district clerk.
Thursday of November 1998, Charleston White signed a court order arrangement to now or anytime after the day above contact the victim, Shalondra Price. Khan was 11 years old of age when contact was made, sexual or direct penetration was made. Defendant has previous convictions prior to current event. Paragraph 1 states the test was positive for defendant's semen. So, I mean, we got everything from the detective's name to the signature of the district clerk. I mean, I don't.
Phone numbers. And this says, this is crazy. This is crazy. They got he been tested positive for the semen, all matched up. Direct penetration, sexually direct penetration was made. Defendant has previous convictions prior to the current event. Paragraph 1 states the test was positive for defendant's semen. This is crazy. You got a detective name and phone number on here. March 16, 1999. Yeah. Yeah, Charleston. You can't keep hiding from all this. You can't keep hiding from this. Um, like I know it's painful that like at your age and you try to tell someone. I know like was it any kind of friction in the family, like people telling you lying?
Yeah, a lot of it came from like my aunts and stuff saying that I just wanted attention and stuff like that. Like, I really don't want to make this about anybody other than myself, you know what I'm saying? But as far as my immediate family, everybody was out on board after everything got processed and was, you know, systemized or whatever you might want, whatever great language you might want to use for it. Um, and I haven't had to really revisit that except for when he came to Stop Six working at the club, and then he had put that program there for kids. And I was just thinking, damn, for a person who always doing shit,
It's okay.
you know what's going on, like if I was that young, that means Charleston was 19, right? 19, 20, something like that. I'm sorry. Um, I don't just think about it every day to remember the exact ages both of us was, but I do know he had just came home and he was a whole lot older than me. People think shit like that is funny and it's a joke, but if you ever go on my page, anything that I'm on there doing for the jail motivational speeches or any of that, if you just listen to it, it'll tell you the whole story. You know what I mean? This ain't something I just started dealing with. This is something I've been dealing with.
Okay, take your time. And painful that you have to.
Shalandra, I've been listening to everything, of course, backstage, and
And then I have to ask myself, did all the idiotic, degenerate nonsense that Charleston White has been doing all these years, is that just so when we get to a moment like that, it's not taken seriously? So when we get to a moment like this, it's not a big deal? So someone can say, man, he's just a troll, no worries. See, again, it's concerning when there's proof that he's been charged with these crimes against the child and nobody cares. It makes you wonder if people actually want to protect children, or are they willing to turn a blind eye when they see something like this happening? There's absolutely no way Charleston White should not be out in front of an audience having to explain all of this, since he's done all of this talking over the years. It does not feel good to make videos repeatedly about the same thing over and over, and you don't see any growth or response to the videos. I've done several videos calling out Charleston White for the things that he said to people online about what he'll do to them or what he's already done. And it's really a trip how that man has grown an extremely large base in the things he said and how they've been ignored. It's a case study for real. Because as people get canceled based on the mainstream, we got to start asking ourselves, how do you cancel people on social media for real? I mean, at some point, this conversation about Charleston White will come to a head and we will have to deal with it for what it is. This is not okay. Yeah, I don't personally believe she got any reason to lie in the way Charleston White moves, given his past. And once you start putting all that together, there's no reason to believe that he didn't do everything that she says he did. Now, my issue becomes, how do you get people to believe it? How do you get people to respect it? Because it seems much more difficult these days to get an allegation off the ground, even if you're a family member and you're literally calling it out. It's like people will ignore you to follow him because he's the one with the attention. He's the one driving the views. He's the one with the clout. I don't think that's right, fam. I think because it's being called out, it should be brought to the forefront. Instead of everyone trying to do interviews with Charleston White, paying him bands, why not bring her in and have the conversation with Charleston White? Where's that challenge taking place? Because again, I understand that he's created a lot of fanboys, but he's also created a lot of victims. He's also threatened a lot of people, threatened a lot of women, threatened a lot of women with what he's being accused of from his own family member. So there's no reason to downplay it. Even though I know he got fans, they're going to come and make it seem like it's something wrong with her and I shouldn't be listening to what she has to say. But nah, fam, it's a reality. He wants to control every situation online. And it really is disheartening to know that these cases don't really get the type of airtime they need. If this was Jeffrey Epstein, there would be more people interested. But because it's Charleston White and people enjoy him for entertainment, they don't want to hear this. They're going to make excuses as to why she should not even be platformed. And that's crazy. But we've got to deal with the celebrity worship part of this social media society. And I'm saying we got to watch out before we build up these type of people. I mean, the man came in talking crazy from the gate. So it probably should have been some barriers to prevent him from becoming such a loud voice. But like I say, I remember people saying that, nah, he telling the truth. Let's get these gang members, blah, blah, blah. And I've always known he just wanted to become the rapper. He just wanted to be the person with the big chains and the attention on him. And now that he's got it, how do you take it away? Like I say, fam, it's sad that he can go on podcasts and brag about what he's done to his cousin. And thus far, he's had his way. But like I say, people got to take the clip. They got to remake their own videos, share it, whatever you got to do. The word needs to get out that this man is a deviant. I'm just saying, fam, when we start looking at some of the conversations that are not happening, you would think that they can start around people who have already been convicted of these types of crimes, yet are getting access to children right here in the black community. You throw some money around and, well, they'll give you access. They'll give you the opportunity to talk to youth. And these are the things that's got to stop. People like Charleston White are positioning themselves with money to go into the black community elevate his voice only to harm the community. It's not for the benefit of. And until people get that, yeah, he gonna have free reign to keep doing what he does. I just thought this was crazy and needed to be called out, at least add to the short list of videos that are talking about this. We can't let nobody who has done this to an 11-year-old go unspoken of. Sheesh. So look, I appreciate y'all coming to the video. These are the types of things that need to be discussed more. Unfortunately, they aren't. But this is me doing my part in trying to get that conversation off the ground, because if I don't do my part, it may never happen. So I'll catch y'all on the next one. Good looking out.